Hi, welcome to It's a Cosmic Joke.
Hi. Um,
We are back again, and we have some great conversations that we're going to do, and energy updates too as well. All right, Allison. So, what is going on with you today? I keep
uh,
seeing green everywhere.
yes.
I'm seeing green auric fields, or green aura. So, like green all over my body, and then floating around. It's really pretty.
It is pretty, and it's different
Yeah.
shades of green, as though the entire green ray is like being activated.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense though. And I'll tell
Art.
you, it's the emerald heart activation. So there's the sun diamond, which I told you about that, which I'm starting to work with. That's what I'm gonna be working with full time. It's a sun diamond activation, but it's actually the sun diamond in the heart. So the sacred crystal heart activation, but they want me to use it as a focal point for going into meditations, that it's a sun diamond heart. So, which will be like a vortex to start opening. But yeah, so you have the sun diamond activation, and then it'll be the double diamond. Double. I'm sorry, guys. There's here. They're like correcting me. It's a double diamond sun activation, and then it's the emerald diamond heart activation is what we're going through right now.
Yes. Yeah, the original emerald tablets, for lack of a better term, the emerald
Mhm.
documents are being put back together properly without all the distortions, and we
Yeah.
are now having access to those too. So they're
Yeah.
all coming in on the emerald line if we choose to. We don't have to accept them. It's one of those optional things where if you want to fill in your history and you want to fill in all the knowledge, then we can.
Yeah.
If you don't want to, it's you don't have to.
Yes. I think eventually I have them on my list as far as Emerald tablets to sit there and download, but I'll be coming out with them later on, which is it's actually going to be the originals, not the ones that are distorted and that were
Exactly.
basically corrupted. So,
Yeah, which
so
is true.
they'll tell me when I'll be able to come out with that because it's going to take a little while to make it, but yeah, just to make sure that it's proper. They want it to make sure that it gets through in purity, basically. So
And from what I'm getting is, I mean, they're still trying to get rid of a lot of our distortion so that we have actual access to what's true and what's real without some of the other programs that are interfering.
yeah.
The newest thing though last night was, and this morning seems to be, it's ongoing. I'm not done with it yet. I was talking about the Merkaba, and we've talked about before, it's like I programmed this in my Merkaba, why is it not working? I've programmed this. And the information was again saying, they're like, you've programmed your Merkaba. The Merkaba is the field around your physical form. And it can conflict with programs that are running within the physical form, within your vehicle. And I'm like, yes. And they're like, yes, we know that you added in that anything that conflicts run from the highest, for the highest. I always add, my little caveat
Yeah.
saying it is still as though you're putting a brand new paint job on a car and not fixing the mechanical problems. There is still only so much that you're able to do with it. So it's again pushing us to, we have to eliminate any of these running programs within the body. And it's not necessarily that they conflict with our Merkaba and what we're able to do, but the Merkaba needs a different wiring, a different system to be actually carry out the things that we've programmed.
Yeah.
I went,
Exactly.
that makes
Which
sense
is
to me.
on the deep cellular level.
Exactly.
So it's at this point we're clearing everything that's in the physical body. So you have the bodies, of course, but
Yes.
okay. The mental body and the emotional bodies are being cleared as well. So okay, triggers, activation.
What?
Okay, so this is what did they say to me today? So major reviewing. So
Yep.
as our timelines are completely shifting, which is for the highest and best, things just completely will either shift or fall off. Your path completely changes. It took me a while to get used to the change that happened recently, and
Oh, really? You went through a change?
it's beyond even a change.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know.
Caution when you connect to the galactic central sun. That's what I'm going to your oversoul, and you're not prepared. This is what can happen. Great
Not
experience.
pleasant. Yeah.
Anyways, they're gonna make me teach it.
Good.
That's my mission.
Good.
They said you're going to be teaching how to do it properly in the future. Not in the future, but probably soon. I would say probably in the next 6 months, once I get through, the hurdles, because I'm still clearing as well. So they said we're going through major reviewing. So all the triggers and activations, because that's what I'm going to call them, because they are activations. It
Right.
could be any little thing, and you'll start pulling. You're going to be pulling up stuff where, wait a minute, well, I would never even think like that, right? Like it could be little tiniest things, like it could be little small things of maybe, I don't know, envious, jealousy, like little tiny things that are left into the cellular memory, but you're like, I would never think like that. Okay, but you would never think like that. But when at a point in time did you think like that? So let's
Correct.
look at it's all inner child stuff too, is what I realized. But it's inner child, and then also between your teenage years too, as well. So we're pulling up all the inner child, okay? And then we're also, I would say, from what, 11, probably like 11 to 16, 11 to 18 is what we're clearing too as well. So it's all those tiny little things that are still, it's an identity basically,
Right.
that we haven't let go of. So yeah, that's
That is
something
true.
that, but it could be anything. It could be lack. It could be anything of fear. A lot of fear-based stuff too, as well. Did we talk about last time all the television shows and the movies and stuff that we programmed into our brains, basically, and into our frequencies? That's another thing that we're clearing too, as well. All of that stuff, anything that we've ever seen, that can be anything from fear-based, or like horror films, or I mean, you name it. Anything that will create that fear inside of us, this type of programming, is we're clearing for that as well too. So just think about how many times we were watching, this is like really funny, we were watching let's say movies about conflicts, or people degrading each other, and stuff like that, or being envious or being jealous of each other. Those are all programs from those television shows that are actually, were just programs for us. It's not even who we are, which is really fun. I don't know how to explain it, but when I was sitting there looking at it and I dug deeper, I'm like, where did this come from? Like, from that movie? That's crazy. It's something I watched when I was 16 years old. So wow, I just sitting with my counsel. They're like, do you see like how much you have to sit there and peel away, and how much stuff that you were programmed with for so many years? It was amazing just to sit there and go and look at it.
Yeah, I agree with you, because we look at what have we read, what have we watched, what have we heard, who have we been around, and then especially as through our teenage years,
Hmm.
we kind of took that's an authority, that's a way of doing things, and so we just took it on as, well, that's an option. That's the way people act. That's the way people do things, and so yes, it just got programmed.
It's
Because
program and violence too.
yes,
All of anything of violence and stuff that we watch too. That's another thing. Uh, Even things like that, we were like followers at one point, and maybe we're led into on a certain type of path, also is coming up too. So it was just interesting pulling up all those different programs and
and
stuff.
a lot of it has also eroded the family structure, the relationship structure, because depending on what avenue you might have gone into of what you watch,
Hmm.
it's giving you unhealthy views of how relationships are and how we're supposed to interact with each other and how you resolve conflict or don't resolve conflict.
Hmm.
Another part of that, though, I'm noticing on a cellular level is what we came in with because of our biological vehicles. What were our parents' beliefs? What did our parents watch? What did they hear? How did they act? And we have to remember that because we are cellular matches, not totally, but there are cells within us that match our parents, that when we were in proximity to them, the cells within us that matched them also vibrated and took on their programming.
Yeah.
However we watched what they did or how they acted or experiences that they had throughout their year are automatically transferred to us. And again, we sit and go, where did this come from? This is not something I would do. This doesn't make sense. And it becomes, all right, I'm going to clear it for anybody and everybody. Which again goes along, passing it to our children, our grandchildren. There's a need to release these
And to clear.
programs every cell, because I don't want my kids or grandkids to have to go through that.
Exactly. That's something else they're explaining to me, because certain things I would get these little triggers and activation. I'm like, where is this all? Like, some things I know are just not me, and they're going down the list of that line too. Not only what we're programmed with, but also genetics. They're like Lovey shit. They're like, I'm going to show you. You're in your super consciousness. You've been there for a while, but let's see how open that you really got. Okay. And I was just like, thank you. They're like, you can be picking up things for mile radius. Okay. You can be, like you said, family too, anything genetics. I was clearing for my mom. Remember, I literally was clearing all my mom's trauma for within myself. Remember when that happened?
Yes, I do.
And I was sitting there going, whoa, like, what is this? But it's in us. So I was able to clear it and help her clear too as well. And then my dad, I probably did clear him, just not even, I was doing so much clearing. But they were explaining, they're like, there's so much stuff going on that it could be anywhere from mile radius. It could be people that you're just connected to, your soul group. These can be programs that are running in them too as well. They're like, this is how open you are right now in a 360-degree angle is something they were explaining. All my ability. And projections too.
Yeah.
Oh,
But then
wow.
when you add in all of your higher selves, and because we have access to all of our other higher selves that are concurrently living their life and what they're going through, you add a whole nother layer of their genetics, if they're in a physical form, what their experiences are. And so we've got so much bleed through of.
It's bleed. That's what they explained. They're like, you're bleeding. You were bleeding through. So on like a mass scale. And it was just like all this stuff getting through it, and I'm doing so much better. But now that I'm able to, they're really showing me how to pick everything apart, and they're like, just clear it, don't block it. Whatever these thoughts are coming through, look at it, pinpoint it, see where it's coming from. That's one of the biggest things. And they're like, now just go and clear it as fast as possible. Don't go back into it. Once it's clear, stop creating the creation of it again, right?
Exactly.
So that was just amazing in itself. But they were explaining, they're like, you're just so wide open. You've been wide open for probably about a year now, is what but it was developing more and more. And then now you're going into the deep cellular genetics, higher selves. They're like, it's just like free fall. They're like, we just kind of just really look at everything that's coming up and just clear it. It's something they were explaining to me today. And I was like, all right, let's just get it done.
Exactly. That's me too.
And then,
That's me too.
And they're like, we understand you want to hide because you're so like this. But they're like, let's just go through it and get it done. So, and I was like, okay, fine.
Because the other part of that, when I was, I'm still working on this Merkaba understanding of what else, how we need to do this. The one thing they're saying is that we are still living in a 3D, and yet we're living in 5D, 7, 9, 12, and all the rest of it. Oh. And they're like, you're simultaneously living within the different dimensions and interacting on a cellular level, vibrational level within each one of those. And it's as though we have that ability, but yet we're not fully in any one, so therefore we don't have full command of what's available, if you know what I mean. Like, if once we can alleviate everything from the 3D cellular frequency level, then we will be able to fully manifest and do what we need to do within another dimension. And yet I don't know that any of us know exactly how to do that. How do we distance ourselves fully from all 3D things without being on a mountain to do the things that we need to do?
You probably go to a desert. I went to the mountain. I love the mountain. Don't get me wrong. But the cold weather, I was sitting there going, yeah, I might need to Costa Rica.
Exactly. But the thing that they talk about, again, it comes right back down to your triggers. Do you have an emotional reaction to anything? And anything you have an emotional reaction to, clear it. Clear it. There's a reason. That's just telling you you've got something that's still running and working within you.
Yeah. And you can actually work it through yourself. Like you can do it some people just might need to write it down. If you can, just write it down, but you can usually just pick it apart and just keep moving and walking and just pick it apart and really look at it, or it will come up later again and be like, hey,
It does. Hi, good to see you
remember
again.
me? Remember
Oh,
me? Shame and guilt is coming through on the collective
yes.
consciousness. Shame, guilt, pain, suffering. um I would say, you can say lack, but self-worth. See,
Yes.
I think those two go in hand in a sense. So, um, self-worth, big time. What am I going to
Yes.
do? Lots of confusion on the collective consciousness too. So that's another thing. And I say collectively because, we're I know I'm an open portal, so I know what I'm feeling for the collectives. And I'm
Yeah.
going, okay, wow, there's a lot of things that are coming up right now.
And a lot of that does come in the awakening process, because as soon as you
Mm-hmm.
waken up, you start seeing what's going on. You start seeing where you were unconscious, the things that you did, said, and you start to feel sorry and bad about how you acted. Wow, I didn't see that before. Why did I do this? And there becomes this necessity of, you didn't know. Now you know. You clear it and you make sure that you don't take those actions anymore. You don't say those anymore. You don't get involved in that movie, that this or whatever else that you were unconsciously doing, and make conscious choices.
Yeah.
We do know that there is that time of, what the hell have I done? And you
What did
just have
I
to write.
do?
I know, it was a program. It was the intention, because that is part of the negative agenda, was to keep everyone in a state of fear, of
Yep.
state of lack, of what, looking outside for something else and going, well, this is really horrible, and nobody goes inside.
Yep. You could have, the other thing is something that they mentioned to me today. They're like, you could have cleared, let's say you have cleared all of that out, right? But if one of your missions, this one was good for the good, like, good twist for me to look at. They're like, okay, so let's say you've done all your clearing, but your mission came in here was to clear for others and for the collective, for your soul group.
Yes.
So you're going to continue clearing.
Yes.
Because you're clearing for them. If that's what your agreement was coming in here, and if you're a cleaner, because that's what they call them, the cleaners.
I know.
And they do. Some of them actually have. Never mind. I won't say that. I don't want to get in trouble for that one. They're sitting there looking at me. I'm like, fine, I won't talk about them.
Exactly.
But that's, if you came in here as an agreement to help be, let's say, the first runners, because they call them the foot runners, the forerunners, foot runners, whatever, frontliners is what they call them, to be awakened first, to actually sit there and clean for their whole soul groups, and we can keep going on. But that's something they also wanted me to look at. They're like, you could just be clearing for your whole soul group at this point in time. They're like, you have done massive clearing. They're like, you're crystallizing, for God's sakes. Look at the sparkles on your skin.
Exactly.
And the stardust. And they're like, where do you think? And I'm like, so what is it? They're like, well, you're clearing. You're a cleaner. So you keep going. And I'm just like, okay, cool. We
That
have
in
more.
itself, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
That in
But
itself brings up a lot of things, because it becomes, wait, I'm doing my work. Why don't they have to do their own work? So we go through that whole egoic thing of, if I'm here to be a cleaner, we get to a point of going, okay, I'm just here to be a cleaner. I'm just going to do it and make it easier for everyone, because if I make it easy for everyone, it's easier for me.
it's self-sacrifice.
Yes.
That's what it is. And at first I was sitting there wondering, because the looping saying, and they're like, it's the sacrifices. And I'm going, great, here, because you know how we go in the movies we watched and stuff. It's self-sacrificing. And that's what they kept explaining. They're like, you are here, you self-sacrificed. That is what you did. That was one of your missions coming in here, is everything that you go through and going through whatever you can call them spiritual crisis. They're like, that's not spiritual crisis. You're burning off karma for yourself, your soul groups. You're doing it on mass levels. You're not doing it just on, small scales through yourself. you're doing it for all your genetic family lines and everything else. And I was like, wow, they're like, it's called self-sacrificing. That's what it is. And I was like, okay, cool. And they're like, then you'll sit there and you'll move up into other levels. One of the things that they told me to do recently was they want me to really pay attention to the frequencies at this point, really tune out, kind of go offline a little bit. We could do this. I can still, do some work, but they really want me to really start paying attention to frequencies and my new abilities that are coming on too. So, and then the new mission that they gave me.
Lovely.
So what have you been getting on that?
I agree with everything that you just said. Again, we are, as we progress or level up or expand, I guess is a better word instead of level up, as we expand into our higher bodies and into the higher dimensions, we are clearing, we're seeing more, and it's like we get a bigger picture each time. And each time the more that we see, it's like, oh, wow, I didn't know I was to clear that. I didn't know that could be cleared. And looking back on the consciousness, I mean, it has given me at least a whole new level of compassion. Of going, wow, that person is where they are. They may not realize the programs that are running. And if there's anything that I can eliminate or assist them in bringing in their direction to have them see that, I would like to do that.
Yeah. That's, having compassion and really trying to help clear and help other people. Yeah.
Because there comes a time where we just have to kind of stand and let the person talk, let them vent what they want without even offering advice, without even trying to help, without trying to be anything, hoping that maybe by the time they're through expressing what they need to express, they'll see something within themselves. We just shine the light on it, shine our love on it, and whatever frequency that we think might be required to help them to unravel their own frequencies that they carry, because this really is an internal job. There's nothing I can really do to help anyone, because you have to get in and see what you are carrying. We each individually have to go through ourselves and pick apart string by string by string. And if somebody else tries to get in there and pick at your strings, it's just going to make bigger knots, because they don't know the arrangement of my strings and how crazy it was. Yeah. And that's difficult, because we do want to be together. We want to commune with each other. We want to have, whatever. But until everyone has gone through their own personal isolation, all alone, keeping your mouth shut, not talking to anybody about anything, to really cry, scream, yell, whatever you need to, and start pulling the stuff out of you, you're just kind of stuck in your own bubble, your own reality.
Yeah. That's what they're saying. You're going back into isolation again. That's what they're like. This is what you're going to do. You have work that you need to do here, like,
yes,
in the present. And I was like, okay. And they're like, I was like, okay, great. They're like, you're going to pay attention to frequencies. You're going to stay off electronics. That's another thing. Facebook. But they always kept me like that. They always kept me, and because I can barely work a computer, you know that. I could barely work Facebook, but they always kept me like that. No television, no TV. I could listen to music because music is sound and vibration, but that's what they were telling me. They're like, stay off the social media stuff. You can post stuff, of course, but that's it. Certain things, it's like, they want me to go back into myself again. And I was like, that's cool. That's fine. Because they want me to really pay attention. They're saying pay attention to frequencies at this point. And it's within yourself, in your body, in your universe, really start to pay attention. And they're like, that's another thing, because, all this stuff that we were worried about, like, because me and you, like what we wanted to do together, they said it's going to happen. Whatever's supposed to happen for the highest is supposed to happen. But they're like, you need to understand that you're quantum leaping probably every single day at this point.
I know.
Like a nanosecond. So it could change. And I was just like, all right. They're like, get used to change. Get used to people leaving. And that was another thing. They're like, when it's done, it's done. When your universe says that, these connections are done, then you disconnect. And that's it.
The other component on frequencies that I'm being told is we're to manage our own frequencies. Be aware again of what comes up. And when we take a better look of that isolation, our internal space, and know this is my field, this is my universe,
Mhm.
it is easier to pick up all of the little cellular frequencies that are still, pinging and running.
Yep.
By exiting from the outside electrical world as best we can, even though we're bombarded 24/7. I mean, Wi-Fi's in the air, cables in the air, all these things through the air. So it becomes, by isolating into your frequency, standing in your own frequency, you will see it, you will feel it, you will know that there's an incursion of a program attempting to come in. We cannot be unconscious anymore. We have to be aware of what is around us, what is going on. Not in a fear-based, but it's like I'm in control of my energy and I choose to have my universe at a particular frequency. Therefore, I'm not going to allow anything else within that frequency. As far as like posting is okay, it's like, yes, we're allowed to share and extend our energy in the areas and the spaces around us and not shrink. That's something that we've done in the past, was we come across something that's not to our liking and we automatically shrink into ourselves. And they just keep saying over and over for months, it's like, no, expand through it. Raise your space wider and wider so that my unique frequency actually permeates through every person, everything, every atom that's within my universe. So it becomes, again, this is the same thing with the Merkaba. The Merkaba is surrounding us. It's our vehicle that transports us and all of our bodies.
Yeah.
It's talking again. We have to have, again, I don't usually say have to, but we have to have full and total control of every energy that we are broadcasting from this physical form. We are broadcasters. We are lighthouse, galactic lighthouse I am. And to make sure everything that I am broadcasting is of the highest. And if it's not, that I'm aware of it, that I see it. Neither I chose, whatever, fuck it. I'm just going to be mad right now. Cool. But take control of it. And again, it's personal responsibility, 100%. There is no one to blame. There is no one to yell at. There is no one that's causing you anything. It is me. I am responsible for absolutely everything.
You have to be responsible for every single thing in your actions and not look outwards. And that's another reason, because of my change that was coming, I've pulled up great things for me to look at. But if I'm not on the right frequency of sitting there broadcasting, like you said, they're like, okay, this is where you're going to go in until you sit here, you work through it. That way you're not broadcasting, not the highest of the highest energies, is what they're explaining.
And it's okay if you broadcast it, because you're going to get back something that shows you what you just broadcast.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's all right, everything is just fine. But if you're choosing not to have to go through another loop, then don't do it.
Yeah. If you're not in the right vibrational frequency, is what they're saying, then that's when you shut off. Not shut off, but like where you go in and you stay in and you just disconnect for a while until you're able to get through everything, and then you'll raise your frequency back up, and I was like, oh, that's cool. So you're right. Let's go back to the Merkaba vehicles. So first of all, am I allowed to even go into this? Let me ask them. Okay, fine. Yeah, they go ahead. Yeah. Again, I'm asking permission at this point. So we're up to what, level 4 Merkaba vehicles?
Correct.
Okay. So we're going to be upgrading again soon. Okay, so when is the upgrade that we're going to be going through?
September.
Okay, well, the upgrade that we're going through in September, that's going to be, I think that's also another universal Kundalini upgrade too, because we just went through another one. We're going through one right now, and then we're going through the next one. Okay, they're saying the 6th. So the next Merkaba, they're telling me mid-October is going to be another upgrade for the Merkaba vehicles. Yeah. So, which
by
we have,
end of the year, we should
have a lot more. Yeah, we have a lot more than just than what people think. They think there's like 4 upgrades or 5 upgrades. Like, no, there's a lot more vehicles. than that.
Yeah,
So
I was told we would be at 7 on each of them, 7 on the
yes,
Merkaba and 7 on the Kundalini by the end of the year.
yes,
Because
because
going
then
into 2020, we need to be in the 7 frequency
mhm,
fully to be able to go through what is next planned for our fun adventure.
yes. So it'd be the seventh because they told me there's seven. There's 7 Merkaba vehicle upgrades, and that's what we'll be getting. I'm sure there's more than that, but you know how they do things. They pull down the information at the point in time, and then we could do the nanosecond quantum leap. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, look, there's 12.
Exactly.
What are we gonna let them have? Let's see. So something that
Mm,
they explained is something we're gonna be teaching those upgrades. We're going to be teaching those upgrades and also how to activate those Merkaba vehicles and to start
good.
programming them correctly, which I believe you're the master of programming
Thank you.
with wording. With me,
Yeah,
I could get the activation started. I'm like, just go in and start going. Ooh, like, I'll have people walking in line going with their arms like this. Now sit and just move it and get it spinning as fast as you possibly can. You'll start seeing the flares of the lights going on.
Oh, I love it.
This stuff spinning. But yeah, so that's something that they explained that we'll be teaching once we get that all together. We'll be
That's
able
good.
to do. We're going to do the rest because we're up to 4 already. So that means that we'll be doing three activations, but we need to pull down more information about that and then helping people program them correctly.
That's well, and one reason, backing up to what you said, where like they tell us there's 7, and then you're like, oh wait, now there's 12. The difference is there would be, when we look at it energetically, on
Uh-huh.
this energetic line that we're on, we can get to a maximum of 7. And yes, once we get to the 7, it's then we're automatically on a different trajectory of a different timeline, a different energetic space, different dimension, or whatever word we want to use.
Harmonic universe. We could be
And
in a
we
different
actually,
harmonic universe because there's 5.
yes.
So it depends on what harmonic universe we could be in or fluctuating in and out of.
I know. At which point, then there's more available. And that's the thing. It's like you want people to understand when they're waking up. It's like you've always seen things linear this one way,
Mm-hmm.
which is great. You know how to work the system, and people stay safe in that because they know how to get around it. They know how to just tolerate it. And I'm like, but you're missing the opportunity of jumping to different ways of being.
Yeah.
But again, it takes us getting rid of all of the personalities, ego personalities, all of those personalities, all of those things that we've been of, wife, mother, daughter, sister, whatever it is, because none of that can play in these other dimensions, in these other realms or the other universes, because we have to be our original frequency, who we are. And that's why through this process is difficult, because we actually have to strip away everything we thought we were, everything that we thought was important, everything, because that's a personality that we took on based on what our childhood was, what our survival mechanisms were, and all the
Yep.
rest of it. And it's as though it really is like when they showed me that you came into a physical form and you were here to live this life up until the point that you were activated to be on your mission, to be awake, to be here for what we are. So it was basically our entire lives were free time. This was just being on the playground, playing around, doing whatever, having experiences, having fun, and now it's time to get back to work. And it's like, put down all your toys, put down everything that you were doing that you thought was important. And that is difficult for people. Like, wait, my entire life is worth nothing? Well, it's worth experiences to the soul. It's worth knowledge of how to deal with other people. I mean, it's worth the information and wisdom that you've gained, but you cannot carry the traumas. You cannot carry any of the grief, the shame, the guilt, which is really coming up right now for people. So it's
Yeah.
like, yes, you lived a physical human life, which in the big scheme of things, no, didn't mean anything except for your soul's experience of how to handle and deal with the energies that you're getting yourself out of. We had to experience how people act and what the programs are to know how to get out of them.
Yes. Exactly. A lot of people. One of the biggest things that I was questioning, which is good to question because that's those are the different stages of ascension.
Yes.
What your belief systems will change. And that's so the one thing, even my counsel told me this a while ago. They're like, you are in your starseed alien form. These are higher selves that you pulled in. There's going to be a point in time you might actually completely change that belief system. That's the whole part of ascension.
Yes.
Is changing
That's
your old
exactly
belief
the hard
systems.
part. Yeah.
And I was sitting there going, they're like, you're going to question it at one point one day. Am I really a starseed? Am I even a light worker? Who am I? What's my purpose? How many times are you going to question that? When you start questioning that right there, that means you're actually going to your next stage
Right.
of enlightenment. Hands down, that means that you're ready to change your belief systems. You're ready to sit there and do a whole change. And that's where I sat there and was going, at this point, I am not either. And that's what I told them. I said, this is what I am. And they're like, well, what are you? I'm like, we, as in one, and I am. So I am source. Like at this point, I'm like, just source, because source is everything. And that's where I came down to it. I was like, I'm neither of those labels either, because starseeds, indigos, light workers, light warriors, all these things, rainbow, blah, they're all labels. They are.
Yes.
They're all different. They're different labels of different genetic makeups is what they're explaining, and that's beautiful and that's fine, right? But what they also explain is that we're all have these abilities. We're all able to awaken and do ascension. There's no separation or duality is what they're explaining. So then, because that's where I went into question, and I was like, okay, so here we have the light workers and light warriors, or even dark workers, or whatever, witches, pagans, blah 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 blah, right? Light, dark, and they're sitting there. My counsel's really listening to me at this point. They're like, okay, so what are you seeing? I'm like, you want to know what I'm seeing? So much fucking separation duality is what I want to see. That's what I'm seeing right here. And they were like, okay. And they were like, so what is it? I was like, this is where the fourth dimension is then. This is the 4C. Because this is where the separation is.
Agreed.
And that's something, I don't know if I should be cussing. I guess we'll have to go over that. We'll see whoever listens to us eventually. Do you want us to cuss or not? There you go. We'll let them
But
decide.
why, I don't think it makes
They were explaining. I was like, that's so much separation duality right there, right? Okay, so let's move past that. They're like, okay, so what else do you see? I'm like, well, if you strip me all down, then all I am is just energy, and I'm just source. I'm God. I'm part of God.
And that's why, again, like this past week when we were feeling like, am I just now awakening? Why was I not awake before? What is this? And that's exactly what I saw. It was like we had awakened into these labels, these identities of light worker, of this or whatever, which was a way of making sense of how the spiritual realm works. But now we've walked past it. It's like we've awoken past that to go, wow. And I'm guessing there's probably a half a dozen or more new awakenings each time that we rise above and get the bird's eye picture of what is. And you're right. I mean, it's a duality game. Yes, there's lights and nights according to what we see. Yes, there's evil. Yes, there's this. But it's all source. It's all
It is all source. That's something that was explained to me a while ago, especially when I started getting into the Cathara teachings. That was one of the biggest things. They're like, it's all source anyways. You have to understand that.
Yeah.
And I totally get that and totally understand it. So this is like where I was like, okay, wow. Okay, and then you move up into the higher dimensions, into the 50. You could be fluctuating from back and forth, and that's where I kept saying, I'm like, why am I back here again?
Exactly.
When all this stuff came up, because this is like my past week, past month, a lot of things, the good triggers that came were total activations of separation and duality. For me to sit there and question my separation in duality, question myself is, no, we're all one. I don't believe in what your belief system is. But obviously these things needed to come up again for me to look at, and these triggers, because it was on a deep cellular level, which turned into fear, into duality, conflict, drama, whatever, so light and darkness, and then, whatever, the psychic attacks and all this other stuff. It all needed to come, obviously, for me to sit there and look at.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, okay. Like, that's cool. Great. How do I navigate back to where I was before? Okay.
I know.
Where I had my whole, we're one. Can you get me back there? That's why I was like, my higher self. But it was the human that obviously needed to go through and experience some things too. So that was certain things that I've been sitting there looking at recently.
Yeah, me too. Me too. But it's fun. I enjoy it. I mean, I want to see. I mean, it's almost to the point of, if I didn't change a belief today, I'm not doing my job.
Yeah. Well, that's how you know when you're evolving.
Yeah.
Is when you sit there, when you start questioning all your belief systems, even the ones like there, my counsel's going, yay, she's evolving. The Ascension Council, especially, they have their checkboards going, yay, she's questioning everything. She's questioning all her beliefs. She's even questioning her galactic origins. Great.
Woo,
she's doing
yeah.
great right now. Because that's evolution. That means you're evolving. So that's the best thing. So anybody who's any experience of where they feel like they got stuck in that, great, awesome. You're moving to your next stage. Don't sit there too long. Just get there, and don't put any labels on it. Just say I am, or we consciousness. We as in one. And you have we's too. You have your higher selves. You have your soul, your spirit, your human body. Vessel.
Your oversoul, your Christed self.
Yes, the oversoul, the Christed soul, which we should get into that tomorrow. I'm going to make a note of it. Okay. That way you can explain that one too. Because there's the oval soul, and then there's above the oversoul. Would that be the avatar? Because the oversoul, they're saying that's the what?
The entire group is the avatar. So it's as though you go through all of these, like those little Russian dolls where you put one inside of another. Mm-hmm. Once we have been able to get through all of those levels, then it's the avatar. It's as though you're made up, like our bodies. When all of the bodies are in alignment, that is the avatar. We are an avatar, but we're not a fully functioning one. Okay. So to be able to use the term avatar, is what they're telling me, is that when you're fully functioning, then you are an avatar. Until then, you're just an avatar kind of thing.
Yeah, because they've been telling me I was an avatar since I woke up. But see, what happened with me is that they went like this. Boop! They turned me all the way on to avatar consciousness, and then boop, back down. Boop! That's what they're. It's like almost my higher self is going up. Boom! Let's pop her open, and boom! Let's put her back down. Boom! That's how. And realign, readjust. Just like that.
And you are going through some difficult times like that, and yet, I mean, I learned so much from it. Sorry, but I do, because I've happened to, watch you go through what you go through. And yet, we understand that there's a reason for it, because there's going to be other people that it happens to. There's going to be people that automatically are turned on and their body shuts down, or, something happens and the wiring gets screwed up. Yep. You already have that knowledge and ability to be able to observe it, to see it, to know it, because you've experienced it.
Yep.
And that's another thing that they say. All of our experiences that we've had are just that. It's an experience that gives us a knowledge base to be able to handle anything and everyone that comes before us that's having a problem. So it's really like a lot of us that have gone through stuff like, oh my gosh, I've had 10 lifetimes within this one lifetime of all of the stuff that I've endured or gone through, or etc. And they're like, yes, that exponentially raises the number of people that you can identify with, that you were able to assist.
Yeah.
By design. It's not like, oh, here's your one problem in life and that's all you have, because there's a limited amount of people that would ever have that one issue.
Yeah. That's
it's our soul just kind of, for a lot of us, it seems like, has really put us in the fast mode, whatever that's called, of the fast track. You're going to go through this, you're going to go through this, you're going to go through this, and we have to just say, okay, well, that was an experience. I'm releasing the trauma now. It was painful. I didn't like it, whatever, and just let it go. And if we don't get the lesson from it, let it go anyway. We just let it go. If you miss the lesson, you're not getting it, that's great. That's great. They don't even care anymore at this point. It's like, you've got to let the whole history go and get to what you need to do.
That's what
It's
they.
not easy.
It's not easy, and staying in your heart, a heart of purity too, as well. That's one of the biggest. They're like everything has to be in the heart chakra, in purity and honor, respect and integrity. And my counsel is very eminent. They've been like that since I woke up. Like they really have. They're very, even people that are in my life, and I told you that too, but they're my counsel, they're me anyways, right?
Right. Exactly.
So of course, if they're the hires, then if they see that something, they'll rip me right out of it, and then they usually will tell me, like, this is why this isn't. It could also be me too,
Because again,
And I'm always willing to look at my stuff. So I'm like, well, just tell me, and they're like, yeah. Listen.
And it's almost a shame that that's how we learn things.
Yeah.
I mean, we learn things by walking into, oh my gosh, where am I? What have I just done?
Mm-hmm.
To then being able to go back and go, okay, now I see what I just did. Now I know why that showed up in my reality. Now I know why that happened.
Yeah. But my higher self will just give me the review, and I'll be like, oh, okay. Okay, cool. Well, then I'm glad I looked at this.
That's good. As you said that, I heard that we can ask for a life review each moment. If something feels like it's a difficult situation or we're going through trauma, grief, whatever, they said just ask us for a life review and we'll play it for you to help you through the situation.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah. That's great.
I definitely, let's say in the future, because I'm going to say in the future, right, guys? The people that I really do want to end up helping are the ones that got turned on the way that I did.
Yeah.
And I think that will be the next thing that will be brought to me, that got completely ripped open like I did. And beautiful, but
not
are going to need serious help as far as all the techniques that I was taught,
exactly,
what I was shown, so on so many levels, to be able to teach them, or to at least help them, which will probably mean like serious one-on-ones for like maybe a month or something like that, is what they're showing me, trying to get people through that process of like what the processes that I went through and stuff, especially the Kundalini energy. That's interesting in itself.
I mean, this one has been really, really simple. It's because I woke up whatever day, a couple days, whenever it was that I told you, and it was like I could feel, the snakes wriggling in the belly, and I'm like, oh, this is really awesome. It was like it's like they, male, female, the joining felt like this, like, oh, this is just something that we do now. We just, we embrace a new change and we get it, and we may be, kind of like not sure at first, but it's like they just went right with it, and they're like, okay, yep, we know what to do. And it was like, wow, this is freaking amazing. Gives me chills again thinking about it. It felt as though there was just maybe an hour hesitation on how do we do this, what's the integration, and I really felt like the masculine, feminine sides of myself were in such communion and communication that they talked together, both looked at it from their own viewpoints, figured it out, and implemented it. And I was like, oh, this is fantastic. I love having that inner viewpoints of both, not denying either one, but being able to say my masculine and my feminine can look at the situation, can talk together, can explain what each they see, and come up with a resolution to get themselves together collectively through whatever it is.
Yeah, that
was nice.
I think that's beautiful. The snake energy is interesting, and it really is through your whole body, moving through your whole body. So I would say that what the energy is coming through right now is, we'll do an energy update as far as ascension. So it's universal Kundalini activations right now. So symptoms, to me, from what I've experienced, is being tired, tired, lethargic, like feeling lethargic, whatever. Who knows? I don't speak this language.
I know you don't.
I'm just forced to. I speak alien. But they're forcing me at this point. So you just feel tired, drained, And then I went through a couple of days ago already, the body heat, the body being completely on fire. All
Yes.
of, I mean, fire, like it was all over your body. But I'm experiencing that for about a few weeks now. So it'll go on and off. You'll feel cold, and then your whole body will be completely on fire, but you have no fever or nothing, and then flu-like symptoms because it's purification, obviously. So,
Which is what I was going through yesterday with like a massive overheat, and it was different. It really was different because when we do that, that overheating and knowing, okay, something's going on, is purifying, it's clearing. But this really was like the phoenix in the fire.
mm-hmm.
Where all I could think was, okay, so the Kundalini is complete. It's almost as though it's like whoosh, it went active. Your entire body just is 1,000 degrees, emanating in all directions, as though it was a turn on, the turned on point of activation.
Yep.
But the other thing has been the heart center being, especially as it moves through. I mean, it was like it just continues clearing. It's almost as though you can feel like the channels becoming larger, and it hurts. I mean, it's really a painful hurt of having that expansion. The same with the solar plexus being like gurgly, like, whoa, what's going on here? Why am I having this weird sensation in my stomach?
Yep. Exactly.
And the tingles up the neck, that
Yeah.
shooting,
And
those
then
are
fire in the heart too. Fire in the heart, higher heart. You'll feel it up
yes.
here. Burning
Yes.
sensations. My neck channel is completely opening. Up right here, and then your channels all the way through your crown where your Zeal chakra is. I call it the mouth of you call it the mouth of God, but they also call it the well of dreams. The count is correcting me. There's different names for it, but it's right here in the center. So you'll feel those channels opening up as well. What else?
Yeah, I call that the zero point.
Yeah, the 0 point. So that all of this is just like complete expansion, but it feels like your body is completely on fire. Big time. And yes, so we'll go back to the serpent energy. It's normal to have things moving, by the way, within your whole body. That right there, when I experienced it a few times, I was like, oh my God. Like I could see where people would go into thinking, here's their Kundalini activated, and you have like literally energy moving throughout your body. You're going to think that there's something in there just like completely moving throughout your whole body. Maybe one or two things, but it's the actual serpent. It's a different consciousness.
It's the energy, exactly. Yes, it's the energy of it, and it has to move through every cell and every system
everything.
body.
Yes, and I could even hear them, which was because I'm so in tuned. I could hear them talking. I was like, "Oh, you guys really need to get along." Like,
mine happily they are getting along. Well, I think it was through upgrade 2 or 3. I don't know. I lose track of where we are and all the rest of it. But I can remember feeling like it had gotten to the chest area, and it was really weird. It was like I feel like I would be pregnant with the baby turning, but I'm like, it's in my chest. So why is this baby feeling turning in my chest? And it was the weirdest sensation. And then that's when you realize, okay, you need to get them, get them up through the head channel, back around until to the solar plexus. Yep. So anyone that is really having chest pains, having issues, because then it starts to go like to the underarms where you're like, oh man, this really hurts. That is an indication to you that you've gotten the energy up from the root into the heart and into the higher heart chakra, but you're going to have to get that throat chakra open. You're going to have to get the speaking your truth and not allowing any of these energies to interfere with what is your true authentic self. Not your truth from the human truth, this is my truth, but your authentic self truth.
Your true and authentic self. You have to be your true and authentic self. And then also another thing, no control. Can't have people controlling you in your life either. That's one of the biggest things.
Or electronics or anything else. No
any
programs.
type of control. And your control too, as well. Letting go of control. But control has a lot to do with, they're explaining that to me too. But also speaking your true and authentic self. But it has to be the true and authentic self.
Yes.
And I was just like, Okay.
I know.
I,
And you have to come to a point of recognizing my speaking my truth is going to cause people distress. And it's not me causing people distress, and it's not my intention. Again, we have to understand that speaking our truth and being our authentic self is the frequency that is going to rattle people. It is, because it's going to shake up their own demons and their own programs that completely don't like light. And we have to be okay with that too, because it's not a reflection of us. It's just we have to do it anyway.
yeah.
We have to be truthful to ourselves.
Well, we go through it all the time, so it's okay when our shit got rattled. So
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
it's
I like
okay.
rattling my own shit.
But everyone has their own perceptions. So people, not everyone, every single person has their own different perception. So it's okay.
It
Just speak
is.
it. You'll go into, oh, and that's something that they're showing me too. Okay, thank you guys for showing me this. There's something, because they're using me as a model, is I'll go speak into my true and authentic self. And it's really funny. They say when the energies are correct, when I'm comfortable, or if it's like the
Right.
connection is, how would you say this? I don't even know. They're like explaining to me what it is, right? So when the connection is okay, of the same frequency. Thank you.
A match.
Is it a match? I can speak my true and authentic self. But then they say sometimes you go back into the child form, like you're not with another person, but if it's, let's say you go into a different frequency match, it's not the right frequency match, you go into the child you don't want to speak. You don't feel like you want to. Like they're showing me those different types of things, the identities that I need to let go. And
Correct.
just be the straightforward, just I am, right? The me, and be the true and authentic self too.
Which again is the brilliance of the system, because as we have reservations, as we have, hesitation, that is in itself our higher self showing us where our blocks are,
Yeah.
where our issues are. And it's like, until I can be 100% authentic me all the time without any hesitation, without any interference, without any triggers, then I know I'm there. So it becomes, again, every single day, what bothered me, what came up, why was I not able to speak? And that's what we look at.
Yep.
Our life, the outer, is absolutely a reflection of showing us what to look at.
Yep.
It just is. And it's beautiful. It's horrible, but it's beautiful when we see
Yes.
it that way.
Exactly. Yep. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting month. I think it's going to be a beautiful month. It'll bring in like prosperity and abundance for all. I'm going to be doing that on collective levels for everybody.
But we
Behind the
do have,
scenes, I call it. How's it?
thank you, always great.
I'll be
But we do
doing, that's
have
what I'll
the
be
8-8,
working
and
on.
I'm sorry.
That's what I'm going to be working on. I do it in my prayers and everything, every single night. So it's something that I'm going to work on for the collectives. So
We thank you. We thank you very much.
yes.
We've got 8-8 coming up too, where the new templates are supposed to be installed, which I think is then when we'll be able to have this next Merkaba update.
Oh yeah.
Point. So, but we'll talk about that, I guess,
Which
in the next days.
yeah, I'll come out with an upgrade for that too. So we're going to, it would be Merkaba 5 is what we're going into, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And I keep seeing light blue, but I'm not really sure. I don't know. I guess we'll see. Oh, we're in the light blue, the silver blue. So
No, we're in the light blue.
So it
So
must be
we're
the
going,
green one next.
the green one is the next one. Yeah.
I have to look at the picture I drew. Remember way back when?
Oh, they gave me, go look at, definitely look at it. So it's probably going to be a green frequency.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing a lot of gold too. So a lot of gold frequencies too as well.
I saw that too. It's like a gold tornado. It's like wispy light gold, just this tornadic golden wisps of awesomeness going, oh, I want to get in the middle of that.
And be like, yeah. And seeing all the crazy auras. What else did they say? Okay, so I'm going to be working with I call them Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Christ, which I've been working with him for years now, obviously. But the Aurora races and then the Chris Guardian races is who I'm going to be working with full time now.
That's good, because
Okay.
you're really working on anchoring in the 12th dimension into the space.
Yes.
And
So,
that's nice.
and those are who I'm going to be. I mean, they are a part, of course, they are a part of the Guardian Alliance because that's who I was working with. But at this point, they said this is it's important. These are the races that you need to work with at this point. And I have been, but they're really coming in. So it's like my whole different councils have, what do you call it, been switched out, which is fine.
Me too. I was going to talk about that. I was like, oh my gosh.
I have
But
new councils.
Yeah, me too.
So, and they're beautiful. A lot of them are feline, humanoid looking. They would say Lyrans, but they're saying they're not identifying to that, which I think is interesting. To me, that was kind of, I don't know why they're not, but they're like, no, we're the Guardian founder races with the Aurora races. They're beautiful and they're very crystallized. So everything is crystallized, everything on their bodies, their faces. Kind of looks like the Avatar movie, but it's not. Some of them aren't blue, they're white, very white, and have, can you see it, feel the heat?
I'm just like, oh my gosh, burning up again.
I know,
but
everything
like
crystal diamonds.
Races.
Huh?
There's like 2 million races in our universes. It's in this quadrant.
Yeah.
So we don't know who they are. And most of them don't even have names or don't identify by names.
Exactly. Listen, they're saying we're from higher quadrants. We're from higher quadrants. Exactly. Okay, not of this quadrant. Yeah, I'm sure. He's using me as your guinea pig.
Well,
yeah, so they're beautiful beings. Beautiful.
Yeah. My newest councils are small. These ones are taking smaller forms, which I think is really kind of cool. So
are they like this big?
Yeah. But it's powerhouse. I mean, it's like, like a spark plug. You're like, whoa, what did you got? How did you condense it into that? So I know there's a lesson in that. How do you condense everything that you are into a minute
small
atom, small particle? Yeah. So I'm curious to see. They're starting with the Merkaba, and spark plugs in the Merkaba.
Exactly.
I'll figure it out.
Spark plugs moving. But they are. I've seen them. I've seen the little beings too. Mm-hmm. I've seen them. They'll walk out, and I'm just like, oh my god, can you just give me 5 minutes? Like, but then a lot of them was flying around, and they're like this big. You can see them too as well. They're beautiful. Yeah. And some of them are just particles or sacred geometry and stuff. Just flying around. And their Merkaba vehicles. They're like this big.
Which is, again, something to aspire to. I mean, it just shows us that there's so many forms that we, as an infinite energy, I mean, we call it a soul, but again, it's an energy frequency. And my energy frequency can be in any shape, form, and is at any given time. And I do believe that's what this next, I don't know, phase, stage, whatever word we want to use, for me is of going, wait, what is the transformation that you want to use your frequency for? Let go of the human, just let all that human stuff go. You are a frequency, and how do you wish to design that frequency? What is your geometry? How is it that you want it to be? So it's like taking the universe, like we've talked about, I'm in my universe, and being able to decorate it, my universe. So I know this is a fun stage.
I'm excited. All right, we can do one tomorrow.
Okay.
Bye, guys. Thank you guys for listening. We love you all. Bye.
Bye.